Well, it's a couple of hours before we start the 5th Swansea Mask Carnival. This year it's entitled Trading Places, a masquerade for fair trade. And as ever, what we're doing is being inspired by the flamboyant form of carnival from the Caribbean, the Mass, and making sense of it here in the context of Swansea. So we've got over 40 youth, community and cultural groups, a fantastic array of cultural diversity from the city. We have African groups, Afro-Caribbean groups, Chinese group, Filipino group, Thai group. Drumming, we've got drumming of every shape and size. We have South African drumming, we have West African drumming, we have steel pan, roundy neck, we have soca street band, ghetto style, we have Sikh drumming, and because no carnival is complete without samba, we have not one samba band, but we have 5 samba bands. Because of course the music is what generates the energy for the dancers to really jump up and play mass.
I always think that Carnival is something that is very global, that happens all over the world in sort of many forms, and that there's always a lot of characters or parts of it that are sort of similar. So all sorts of things about ends of harvest, celebrations of certain times of year, but also about the being allowed to turn the world on its head for a day, to alter the sort of status of people within society, to question things, to laugh at things, to parody, and to object. There's lots and lots of characters that are global, that appear in slightly different forms all over the world. Sort of Piero Granada in sort of Trinidad, which is very like the Pieros in Italy, and very like Morrismen in Britain, that they sort of come from a stick fighting tradition, but a way of turning fighting into sort of dance. And you can look at things like capoeira, it's sort of similar to that. And sort of things like Dame Lorraine's, again in the Caribbean, that sort of taking the piss out of the sort of the landowners, the plantation owners' wives. But they're very, very similar in many ways, the way they dress up and the way they're always played by men, to sort of things like pantomime dames.
It's about celebrating life. And in particular, the carnivals that we do in the Caribbean is about the birth, the life and the death. So it's a full cycle. And it's about turning the world upside down. So one day, the man who cleans the street could become the king of the world. And that's the magic of it. So it's about turning the world upside down, putting yourself in other people's places, trading places. So that, I think, is the real origins of Carnival. So it makes us release some of that built up tensions throughout the year. Some politicians don't necessarily see it that way. But it's very important for the ordinary people to release those tensions and just partake with everyone in life, celebrate life.
First and foremost, it's a big party from day one to the actual event. Yeah, it's just about having fun and getting involved and making a statement, maybe sometimes.
Our costume represents the industry that's dying, sort of the coalfields closing down and the mines, everything like that. So we've got sort of flames, copper, for the copper industry that was here. We've got coal, our skirts are going to be made of coal for the mines, so it's going to be really good.
Obviously this one's based on fair trade, but there's a lot more things we're saying as well. It's not strictly fair trade, it's all about kind of globalisation basically, and unfairness in the world, and we're trying to make some subtle statements about that. Some of them aren't quite so subtle.
It's my costume, which is Scales of Justice backpack, which is going to contain vegetables in there to show all the fair trade stuff, compared to the Scales of Injustice backpack, which has got all skyscrapers and stuff to do with the injustices in the world.
Carnival really does have a lot to do with reclaiming the streets, and therefore the powers that be do see it as a threat. However, if you grew up in that tradition, you realize it's not really a threat unless it's challenged. In the Caribbean, we have a very long tradition of resistance to ensure that Carnival survives and remain there. And in fact, the early carnivals in the Caribbean came about at the end of slavery, when we celebrate emancipation. And it was really a celebration of hope and remembrance. And so even though we've been here for 5 years, every year this carnival is growing. And so there must be something good about it that make people want to celebrate it. And I think that has to do with the whole environment of, there's an energy that flows through the mass camp that is, it's about learning, it's about meeting people, it's about celebrating, it's about knowing where people came from. And so that kind of energy is so important and necessary. And it's happening all the time. It doesn't need this alone to make it happen. But the environment in which it's happening here is a very creative environment.
Well, they get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of it. That's one thing for sure. What else? They learn a skill, you know? They can go out on their own, because now with the accreditation that we're doing with this one, the college and everything, it can be beneficial to a lot of people.
And so I think this carnival is going to continue to grow. And I think the main thing is got to be continuity, you know? And I think the people here love it and want to make it happen. And for Swansea and the whole, I think it can only get better. It really can.
We're not down here to deeply think into the meaning of what it's all about, just here to have fun.
I think the Carnival's brilliant. I've come up from Portsmouth and this is excellent. It really is a wonderful, the costumes, everything.
So wonderful to see people from all over the world working together and, you know, really enjoying the spirit that is mass, and it's for everybody, you know, both the disabled people, the well people, Africans, Asians, and Swansea born and bred people. So I think it's fab. It's a great opportunity. I love it.
Fair trade, I think, is a mechanism by which producers get a fair price for their products. It's about bringing justice and equity into the trading system.
The message is powerful and it's got something that everybody should hear.